There's going to be a very interesting plot here when Texas takes the field for their college football playoff game at home against Clemson. And there's a lot of storylines here. Like, you could talk about Steve Sarkisian and his quest for his own national championship as a head coach. You could talk about, does this mean Texas is finally back because they played for the SEC title and they're in the college football playoff? I think this is more of a storyline that I'm tracking around who Quinn Ewers is and what he's done this year, and can he do it in this game? More on that in a second. One, make sure you're subscribed here to the On3 YouTube channel. Second, this segment and this show brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Have a Prize Picks square I want to tell you about a little bit later in the segment, but code HARDACCOUNT, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds. So here's my take on the whole Quinn Ewers thing. This is your moment if you're Quinn Ewers. Not to be dramatic. We try not to do that on the show, but like, this is your moment. It's all set up. It's all set up. Like, the movie script is set to a way where you got a college football playoff game at home. You came back for a year like this, have a chance to go on a college football playoff run, if you will, to a national title with what this roster is, with who your head coach is, with who you are, who you were cracked up to be, go win a national championship, change your draft stock perspective. Like, also you're favored by 11.5 at the crib. It's all set up. You're also the only quarterback in this college football playoff field with playoff experience. So the skins on the wall should be there. There's a lot said, too, about who your backup is. That's totally fair. Arch Manning, last name Manning, you're going to get some juice. Like, dude's super talented. His time in Austin is going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. However, I've said this yesterday on our prediction show. I don't think that this is the Arch Manning game. Not because I don't love Arch Manning and what he brings to the table, but, like, you shouldn't need the Arch Manning run-the-ball packages on 3rd and 2nd in this spot. You shouldn't. Like, this is your team if you're Quinn Ewers. This is your spot. This is your game. This is your year. And guess what? It's winning time. I love so much the Winning Time documentary on 30 for 30. It's with, like, Reggie Miller. And I think honestly, I say I love it. I haven't seen it in a long time. But the quote from that 30 for 30 that stuck with me is, there is a time to play. There's a time to win. For Quinn Ewers now, the better part of the last few months, it's been a time to play. You could argue the SEC championship game is a time to win, but, like, this is legitimately, like, it's put up or shut up. You could be home this time next week if you don't get a dub at your place against Clemson. The pressure is on. And I think in addition to that, we haven't really seen the Quinn Ewers that we expected to see this season since the game against Michigan. Honestly, if we want to be really harsh, you could argue the game against Florida, depending on how you want to value the Florida win at that point in time with no DJ Lagway for them. The preseason juice around Texas, in large part, was linked to who Quinn Ewers is and to what we thought he would be. And that was, I think, a fair thing to say out loud. Like, I think Quinn Ewers was the reason why you were expectant for Texas this year, and you haven't seen it. So now, with the brightest lights, with everyone watching, is this the chance where you just go and cut it loose and ball out? For me, I'll just go ahead and say this. I think he is. I think this is the time. I think he does do it. I think this is a classic, like, so close, so close, so close for Quinn Ewers to put it together than he finally does in a big spot against Clemson. Because we've seen different blips on the radar that make us say, oh, that's the Quinn Ewers we've come to expect. That's the Quinn Ewers that we know. The A&M game, you saw it. I mean, the turnovers kind of dampened that whole party. Even against Georgia, he went for over 3 bills against Georgia. Now the turnovers, again, dampened that party. But you've seen the flashes. I think against Clemson, with them coming to his place, this is where he puts it all together and has a lot of success. So, again, I think that happens. I think he does meet the moment. I think Quinn Ewers balls out. But let's just explore the other side of that whole hypothetical for a second. There's a lot there. The best way, I think, to summarize it, if I'm trying to give advice to Quinn Ewers, if he were listening to this show, I'm sure he tunes in every week, don't let this get weird. Don't let it get weird, because let's just say that you don't play well against Clemson, but you still win the football game. Inevitably, with who your backup is, with what he was out of high school, with the lack of consistency we've seen from number 3, the question would be asked, and the question would gain some more validity, is like, hey, does Arch give us a better chance here in this playoff run? We were lucky to squeak by the 12th seed in this whole tournament. Does Arch give us a better chance? I'm not saying it. I've held for a long time. I think Quinn Ewers is the guy out there in Austin, but I think that the answer of yes, he does, I think becomes a little bit more easy to get behind if you're a Texas fan, because at that time, like, it's put up or shut up. It's win or lose. Let's go make a run here with Arizona State on us in that next week. Now, the other side of that, too, in addition to, you know, the don't let it get weird kind of thought, is like, what if they just lose, period? What if they lose that game? We don't pick them to lose, but if they did lose, The draft stock conversation becomes kind of bizarre. Quinn Ewers has already said he's not sure if he'll go to the NFL next year. You would think he would, but like, let's say that Quinn Ewers plays poorly, they lose. You pair that with the last couple of weeks with what you've seen from him or haven't seen from him, and you're like, is Quinn Ewers a second-round pick? Is he a third-round pick? What is he next year? Should he come back? Y'all, I'll be real. I don't think he should come back to Texas if he's not going to go pro. I think if I'm Quinn Ewers, I would go somewhere else because the Arch Manning era is here. And I don't know that coming back for another year would be all that well received from the folks in Austin. Just my own 2 cents. Don't know that, but I would think that would be the way that things would go. So the prize pick square that I love in this game, again, it's funny to say all those things about what he wouldn't do in the game and like how it could be bad for him and then circle back to I think he's going to ball out. I think he balls out. I mean, I'll take the prize pick square for more than 260.5 pass yards. Feel pretty good about doing it. Again, code hard count, $5 in lineups, $50 in promo funds. But this is the moment for Quinn Ewers, just so we're all on the same page. This is the moment. Pressure is packed for him in this spot. And you hope he balls out if you're a Texas fan and you start to go on a little college football playoff run and the vibes are immaculate, the momentum's there. But this is the moment. I think he has to meet it. I think he will meet it. But it's all right there. It is winning time for number 3 in Austin.